born and raised Hyderabadi, and when Mr. Rajana, you compared Bangalore and Hyderabad, just to share, I personally dread going to Bangalore, because you don't know once you go there if you're going to come back. Because of the traffic, you might not be able to catch your flight back ever. But anyway, I think Telangana, we have a young state and a very new and forward-looking government that has come out with an industrial policy framework to accelerate industrialization in Telangana, and they have a very fresh catchphrase or slogan to it, which is innovate, incubate, and incorporate, which was very nice to see. A government having a fresh and young slogan like that. And I was going through some of the numbers of our state from the last couple of years, and I see, I read that we had grown by about 5.3% or so. The gross state domestic product had grown by about 5.5 or 5.3% in the last year versus 4 odd percent the year before, which is a very positive sign to see after the last, especially the preceding 2-3 years where we had kind of a stagnation or even a slowdown. And very exciting to see that out of this, the services sector, so logistics, we're part of the services sector, in the state grew by almost 10%. But getting into logistics, logistics is the backbone of any manufacturing or most industries, not the industries with a silver spoon like the IT sector, but of most manufacturing industries, logistics is the backbone, where manufacturers are trying to expand their product distribution and reach while trying to address the challenges of cost, trying to address the challenges of inefficiencies such as wastage and shrinkage, while having a visibility across the supply chain. And if you look at Telangana, or if you look at Hyderabad and Telangana geographically, we are excellently placed in the country. We are kind of in the center of the country, which is why 25 years back when we started GATI, we actually headquartered in Hyderabad, thinking that it's the most central city there is in India. And if you ask me, it is much better connected than Mihan and Nagpur is. So now there is talk of GST, and I think 25-30 years back, Mihan and Nagpur was a hot spot where people thought, okay, it's the center of the country and people will set up their logistics hubs there. It never happened. And now that GST is coming back into the GST, the stock of GST, hopefully it comes soon, but whenever it does come, I think Telangana is extremely well placed geographically to capitalize on becoming a logistics hub for the country. However, there are a lot of challenges and there is a lot of work still to be done. We have Mr. Parsuram from Dr. Reddy's here, and about, maybe you can throw some better light on the statistics, but about 1/3 of bulk drugs in India are manufactured, in and around Hyderabad, and most of it for export. But if you see that pretty much all of it is actually transshipped very inefficiently, typically by road, to the congestion-prone ports of Delhi and Mumbai, to be further connected to international routes by ocean, or typically by ocean, some by air. And if Telangana was to really focus, and the government was to really focus on building infrastructure to provide much better connectivity, by rail direct to port, or providing better road infrastructure connecting the various ports, both on the East Coast and the West Coast, probably our guesstimate is that some of these manufacturing industries can shave off at least 8 to 10% cost on the logistics side alone. And another example is of Rajiv Gandhi International Airport that we have here, and me and the CEO of RGIA have had a few times, saying that how we are excellently placed to be a hub for air traffic in India. But today the story, though RGIA has grown in terms of tonnage, domestic tonnage, it has grown about 18% year on year, which is extremely impressive. And for international cargo, it has grown about 13% year on year, which is also quite impressive. But if you look at India as a whole, our airport has less than 4% of the tonnage, or about 4% of the tonnage of the country. The point I'm trying to get at is with Telangana's central location, if we are able to club that with better infrastructure for warehousing, better connectivity by both road and rail to the ports on both the east and the west coast, and add in the very, very critical element of skilled labor, I think Telangana will be unbeatable. I think, Mr. Desai in the previous panel was mentioning about having skilled labor. In a warehouse, like I'm sure most of you are aware that, the Amazons and the Flipkarts have opened their fulfillment centers in Hyderabad. So, GATI, we run the fulfillment center for Snapdeal in Hyderabad. And once, one of you places an order on, snapdeal.com, from the time it hits us in less than 2 hours, it has to be picked, packed, picked, quality checked, packed, and ready for shipping, which is a fairly complex operation because within the same warehouse you have everything from a pen drive to a washing machine, clothes, laptops, televisions, jewelry, shoes, whatever. So it's a fairly complex operation that requires even your what we call handlers or the labor on the shop floor to be able to use a computer, to be able to read, to be able to differentiate and say, yes, okay, am I putting the right piece of paper with the right kind of product? And if we're able to bring these three things together, the right kind of infrastructure, the right policy, so we have, there's already an industrial policy framework in place in Telangana, which I hope encourages manufacturing in the state. And if you're able to plug in good warehousing, quality connectivity infrastructure, rail and road, and bring in this element of skilled labor, provide, or incentivize or encourage institutes to bring in skilled labor or to help train labor in the state, I think Telangana will be unbeatable in the times to come. And personally, for me, I'm a very passionate Hyderabadi, and when my dream for Telangana is that I don't know if you guys know, but in China, Alibaba have had the Singles Day sale recently, which happens on 11th November every year. So this year, they sold about, in 24 hours, they sold about $14.3 billion worth of merchandise in a single day. And they shipped out across the world to 250 countries in the world. They shipped out 500 million packages in a single day. And that happened primarily only out of 3 cities in China, which is Shanghai, Qingdao, and a little bit out of Beijing. So Hyderabad is, extremely well placed in the country to actually be able to provide the infrastructure where tomorrow, I hope a Flipkart or a Snapdeal, does a similar kind of sale and ships out Indian product to the rest of the world. Thank you.